O Lord, tell us a new illustration.
Peace be with you. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Let us journey into today's parable. Two brothers stood on the same soil their father had left them. Simon received flat, fertile fields stretching north under open skies. Thomas received rugged land climbing south into rocky hills. Simon married young, and soon 3 children filled his home with laughter and noise. Thomas remained alone, his house quiet, except for the wind through the olive trees. Both brothers had enough. Both had grain in their stores and roofs over their heads. But Simon carried a weight Thomas never knew, a weight that grew heavier with each passing season, the weight of comparison. It began small, as these things always do. One evening, Simon stood at his window watching smoke rise from Thomas's chimney. His 3 children were crying in the next room. His wife was nursing the youngest. The house smelled of wet wool and spoiled milk. And Simon thought, Thomas has peace, I have only noise. And he looked at his fields, and he looked at Thomas's hills, and the seed of envy found soil. The next season, the rains came heavy. Simon's flat fields flooded, the water sitting in brown pools for days. But Thomas's hillside land drained perfectly. His harvest came in golden and abundant, cart after cart rolling down into his barns. Simon watched from his fence, and he counted Thomas's carts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And he counted his own. 1, 2. And bitterness like rust began to eat at his heart. Why does he receive more when he works less? Simon whispered to the wind. I have children to feed, mouths that cry for bread. And God blesses him. His wife touched his shoulder. We have enough, Simon, the children are fed. But Simon pulled away. Enough! Look at his barns, look at his fields. He has no one to feed but himself, and yet. And he looked at Thomas's land again, and again, and again. The 3rd year, something broke inside Simon. He stopped tending his own fields with care. His hands worked, but his eyes were always turned south, watching Thomas through the fence. He would stand there for hours, calculating, measuring, comparing. His wheat grew thin because he forgot to water the eastern edge. His olive trees bore less fruit because he neglected to prune them at the right time. His harvest shrank, not because the land failed him, but because he had failed the land. Simon, come inside, his wife pleaded one evening. The children want to see their father. In a moment, he said, his eyes fixed on Thomas's fields, where the grain stood tall and thick like a golden sea. But the moment never came. His obsession grew thorns. At meals, he was silent. At night, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling, tortured by questions that had no answers. Why did Thomas have more peace? Why did Thomas's land yield more? Why did God favor a man with no family over a man with children to raise? The questions became chains, and the chains became a prison. Then winter arrived, cold and merciless. Simon's wife fell ill. Her fever burned hot and her breath came shallow. The children huddled around her bed, frightened, their eyes wide with fear. We need a physician, Simon's oldest son said. Father, we need money. Simon went to his stores. He opened the doors to his barns, and his heart dropped into darkness. There was barely enough grain to feed his family through winter, let alone sell for a physician's fee. He had been so consumed watching Thomas's abundance that he had squandered his own. Pride and envy warred in his chest, but love for his wife won. Late that night, under a sky heavy with clouds, Simon walked the path to Thomas's house. Every step felt like swallowing broken glass. He rehearsed the words, Brother, I need help. My wife is sick, I have no money. But when he crested the hill and saw Thomas's house, he stopped. Thomas was outside, loading sacks onto his back, heavy sacks of grain. In the middle of the night, Simon crouched behind a stone wall watching. What was Thomas doing? And then Thomas began walking, not toward the road, not toward town, toward Simon's land. Simon followed, his heart pounding, confusion and anger mixing in his blood. Was Thomas stealing from him now? Was this the final insult? He watched as Thomas reached Simon's barn, looked around carefully, then carried the sacks inside. Simon burst forward. What are you doing? Thomas spun, the last sack still on his shoulder. His face went pale in the moonlight. Simon, You're putting grain in my barn? Simon's voice cracked. Why? To mock me? To show me how much you have while I... No. Thomas dropped the sack and grabbed Simon's shoulders. "Brother, no. I've been doing this for years." Silence fell between them like a curtain. "What?" Simon whispered. Thomas's eyes filled with tears. "Every harvest, I take a portion of my grain and bring it here at night. You have a family, Simon. 3 beautiful children. A wife. I'm alone. You need more than I do. I thought I was helping without you having to feel the weight of charity." Simon's legs gave out. He collapsed onto the cold ground, his hands covering his face. All those years. All those nights standing at the fence, counting Thomas's carts, calculating his abundance, burning with envy. And it was Thomas who had been filling his barns. The abundance Simon had wasn't less than Thomas's. It was often a gift from Thomas. "I've been so blind," Simon sobbed. "I had fertile land. I had a family who loved me. I had a brother who gave in secret. And all I could see was what I didn't have. All I could see was you." Thomas knelt beside him. "And I envied you, brother. Every time I carried these sacks, I wished I had what you have. A wife to hold, children calling me father. I have grain, yes, but my house is silent. My table is empty of laughter." The 2 brothers embraced and wept under the winter stars. They wept for the years wasted in comparison. They wept for the blindness that had turned blessings into burdens. They wept for the poison of envy that had stolen their joy. And in that moment, both saw clearly for the first time. Simon had been standing in a garden of gifts, but had spent his days staring through the fence, coveting his neighbor's roses, while his own flowers died of neglect. Thomas had been blessed with abundance, but felt the ache of loneliness that no harvest could fill. Both had what the other wanted, but neither had seen it until they stopped comparing and started seeing. Simon stood, his face wet with tears. "Come, my wife needs a physician. I came to ask for help, but you've already been helping me all along. Let us go together." Thomas smiled. Together. And they walked back through the night, not as men divided by envy, but as brothers united in gratitude. Simon's wife recovered. The physician came, paid with grain from both brothers' stores, and Simon never again stood at that fence. Instead, he tended his own fields with care, celebrated his children's laughter, and thanked God not for what he lacked, but for what he held in his hands. Do you see now? Do you understand? How many of you stand at the fence, measuring your life by your neighbor's ruler? How many of you have turned your blessings into burdens because someone else seems to have more or different or better? Comparison is the thief that robs you of joy. It blinds you to the hands that sustain you. It turns gifts into grievances. When you look at another's garden and forget to water your own, both gardens die. But when you tend what you have been given with gratitude, when you stop measuring and start seeing, you discover that you have always had enough. Sometimes more than enough, often more than you ever realized. The question is not what others have that you don't. The question is, what do you have that you've been too blind to see? And in the Holy Scriptures it is written in Hebrews chapter 13 verse 5, "Keep your lives free from the love of money, and be content with what you have, because God has said, 'Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you.'" Stop looking at your brother's field. Tend your own garden. Give thanks for what you hold, for you are never alone, and you are never without provision. The Father sees you. He knows your needs, and He has already blessed you more than you know. Peace be with you.